Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are launching ourselves into a truly profound piece of spiritual and philosophical material. It's a single discourse that, well, it attempts to unlock what it calls the ultimate foundational secret of reality.
Pretty ambitious stuff.
It is, and the source material is dense, drawing heavily on Hindu wisdom, but our objective today is simple. We're trying to extract the practical, applicable science that's underlying all these high-level claims.
Right.
We're going to be looking at two interconnected concepts: a really radical redefinition of chastity, and then the methodology for manifesting reality, which is known as the Sadashiva.
And taken together, the source claims these are literally the keys to creation.
It's important to set the stage for you here. When we analyze this kind of material, this deep spiritual discourse, we often run into these highly dramatic mythological narratives.
Tales of gods, curses, immense power.
Exactly. And our job is to filter through that drama and pull out the scientific claim. What is this material actually asserting about the universal laws that govern consciousness and reality?
And that's a key point. These stories, these mythological examples, they aren't presented as fiction. They're presented as irrefutable evidence for a metaphysical principle.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the Mahad Rajya, which I guess we could translate that as the supreme secret or the great formula.
Something like that, yeah.
And the most surprising place it starts is with the concept of chastity. It's a term most of you probably associate strictly with marital fidelity.
Right.
But the source uses it in a way that applies to literally every single relationship you maintain, be it with a spouse, a sibling, a parent, a friend.
And what's fascinating here is that the definition is completely stripped of any social constraint. It's made entirely metaphysical. Chastity, or chastity, is defined as the ultimate stability dimension of consciousness manifesting within any relationship.
Okay, the ultimate stability dimension. What does that mean in practice?
The fundamental claim is that this level of stability creates an absolute truth where, and this is a quote, no matter will matter in front of the stability of consciousness. It's purity as an inherent non-negotiable strength.
So why does that stability have to apply to every relationship? If I have a stable consciousness in one area, shouldn't that be enough?
It's a great question. The source implies that consciousness is holistic. If your stability is compromised anywhere, say between a brother and a sister, that instability creates a kind of vibration or a noise, and that noise undermines the absolute state required for command. So it has to be non-negotiable all the time.
Which leads us directly to the astounding examples the source uses to back this claim up, this claim of absolute power.
And the most stunning one, for me anyway, involves Gandhari and Krishna.
Right, and for those of you who might be unfamiliar, Krishna is considered an incarnation of the divine. And Gandhari, in this story, wields her chastity dimension as a power so immense that Krishna had to literally bow down and accept her curse against his entire lineage, his Vamsa.
And the speaker in the source really drives this point home. He contrasts it with another major event. Krishna is shown using his absolute highest veto power, something he almost never did, to stop the destructive force of the Brahmastra.
Which is basically the nuclear weapon of the divine realm.
Exactly. He vetoed that for his disciple Arjuna's Vamsa, but, and this is the key, he explicitly did not veto Gandhari's curse against his own family.
Wow, so that's the crux of the argument for the supremacy of chastity.
It is. Krishna, the incarnation, collapses his personal power, his divine will, in front of the stability of Gandhari's consciousness. It's meant to demonstrate that this principle of stability isn't just a moral code. It's a fundamental cosmic law that even the divine must acknowledge. It overrides all other powers.
And this absolute stability is claimed to have tangible cosmic impacts.
The source states that a chaste woman's very breathing acts as a command given directly to the cosmos. It apparently carries the same weight as the words of a pure Vedic scholar. It's a direct line.
It even links it to large-scale global stuff. They claim the stability of this state is so powerful that it physically impacts the weather.
Yeah, that's a wild claim. The tradition suggests 3 rains are supposed to occur per lunar month, from full moon to full moon. And one of those 3 rains is specifically attributed to the presence and stability of the chaste woman. It's presented as a guarantee of sustenance, and it's rooted in that stability.
So that level of power brings us to a specific critique the source actually addresses head-on. It acknowledges that some countercurrents misrepresent chastity as anti-feminism or masculine suppression.
And the source's rebuttal is to frame chastity as, in fact, the most powerful feministic idea available. It argues, and it goes back to the Krishna Gandhari example again, that no other philosophical tradition gives a woman a dimension of power so high that it makes an incarnation, a divine being, bow down.
So the reverence given to that state is presented as evidence of it being empowering, not suppressive.
Exactly.
I think the most applicable part for someone seeking actionable knowledge here is the definition of chastity as a process of alchemy. The conversion of raw energy.
Yes, the source gives two very distinct, very powerful definitions here.
First, chastity itself is the alchemy process of converting lust into relationship. It's about taking an intense, often fleeting energy and transforming it into a lasting foundational connection.
And the second is brahmacharya, which is often confused with chastity. Brahmacharya is the alchemy process of converting lust into spiritual powers. This is about channeling that same intense energy, not outward, but upward, to develop a palpable electricity in your breathing that can then issue commands to reality.
So one is relational, one is spiritual power.
Precisely. And if we look at the immediate practical result that's claimed, the protective function is paramount. The source makes this sweeping claim that if you maintain just one chaste woman in your life, wife, sister, daughter, or mother in any of those relationships, the whole cosmos guarantees your protection.
Guaranteed protection. From what exactly?
Specifically from unknown, unseen problems and physical accidents. The assertion is that this stability acts as a kind of cosmic shield. Because that stable consciousness is part of your system, your whole existence is seen as worthy of absolute protection by the universe itself.
Which is a perfect transition, actually. If stability is the foundation that grants cosmic protection, how do you then use that foundation to actively create and manifest your desired reality? How do you issue the command?
And that brings us to the methodology, the Sadashiva ratio.
The formula for manifestation.
Right. And the source outlines three essential, non-negotiable components that have to be present and cannot be questioned. The first is the state of Sadashiva. This refers to the highest state of consciousness where you recognize yourself as the source, as the non-doer. You're not asking for something, you are operating from the reality that you are the creator.
So you're not striving, you are just being.
You're just being, and the other two. The second is the space, the environment, physical or metaphysical, where you operate and manifest a command. And the third is the command itself, the sankalpa. And this command must be so absolute that it can't be questioned back, not by the environment and not by your own inner dialogue.
Okay, that sounds simple enough on paper, but we all know manifestation doesn't always happen instantly.
Of course not.
And the source is very clear about this core problem. What happens when your sankalpa is issued from the state, but the result, it falls short? What happens when you only get limited returns?
This is where the source provides one of its most compelling and sticky analogies, the cat that tasted boiling milk.
Right.
The natural human reaction when a manifestation fails is to collapse into what the source calls the biggest crime you are all doing to your consciousness, which is self-doubt, self-hatred, and powerlessness.
So just like the cat that licked boiling milk one time and now runs from all white liquids forever, not just milk.
Exactly. The seeker, after experiencing just one limited result, abandons the entire science, the entire state. They believe that the science itself, or maybe they themselves, are illegitimate.
It's the ultimate self-sabotage after a single failure.
It is. Think about a brilliant business idea that fails the first time you execute it, or a new fitness plan you give up on after 2 weeks. The mind equates that small failure with the absolute falsity of the method. But the source says this is completely illogical. The state of Sadashiva is an immutable gift. It can't be taken away or lost.
So if the manifestation falls short and we refuse to fall into that trap of powerlessness, what is the clear, practical instruction?
The instruction is very clear. If you manifest limited power, the solution is not self-doubt. The solution is simply renewed, dedicated effort. Or, as the source puts it, more power. And this requires persistence, not intensity.
Okay, that differentiation is crucial. How do we distinguish between persistence and intensity in practice?
When you operate in persistence, consciousness is active. You are stable. You're repeating the command from that guaranteed state in space. It's like planting a seed and just trusting the science of growth. But when you operate in intensity, greed is active. It becomes this frantic effort driven by wanting the result now, and it's often fueled by that very self-doubt you were trying to avoid.
So persistence is sustained engagement from stability.
Yeah.
Intensity is a frantic, energy-depleting burst.
You got it.
Now that we've established this two-part formula, the foundational stability of chastity and then the persistent command of the Sadashiva Rasiya, let's briefly touch on how the source defends the relevance of this ancient wisdom today.
Right, because the speaker is really challenging the linear view of knowledge, this idea that something is automatically outdated just because it's ancient. They connect the Sadashiva Rahasya directly to the traditional knowledge base of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, claiming this science is responsible for prosperity throughout history.
And the source illustrates this timelessness by contrasting two ways of acquiring knowledge. The first, which it calls rational Western wisdom, is likened to a lantern lamp.
A lantern lamp.
Yeah. This kind of wisdom records things sequentially, one after the other. It's like walking in the dark with a flashlight. You see a stream, then 10 trees, then a rock, all just within 5 feet of the beam. It's step by step.
A sequential understanding. And the second, Hindu wisdom, is described as a flash of lightning. This knowledge is not sequential. It is downloaded and recorded in absolute all-togetherness. It's like downloading an entire operating system at once. A comprehensive, simultaneous vision of past, present, and future.
And this lightning clash perspective is where the source gets the claim that this wisdom was current, is current, will be current.
Absolutely. The proof points they offer are that ancient texts like the Agamas are described as vision documents. They include technologies and concepts still not even invented. And to really drive the point home, the source mentions the existence of the Havisha Purana, which literally means the history of the future.
The history of the future. That's a mind bender.
It suggests the knowledge is designed to encapsulate all of time, simultaneously.
So what does this all mean? Our deep dive into this discourse really reveals a powerful two-part formula for reality creation. You first establish the supreme, non-negotiable stability dimension of consciousness. That's the foundation of chastity. And then you utilize the science of command the Sadashiva Rahasya.
And I think the ultimate key takeaway for you, especially when you're engaging in any kind of manifestation or creation, is this. When your command falls short and you only manifest limited power, the failure is simply in the effort. It's never in the science. The solution is guaranteed to be more power, requiring persistent, non-frantic effort rooted in your stable consciousness. You must never ever default to self-doubt because the state and the science, the source claims, are an immutable gift that you already have.
And here is a final provocative thought for you to consider. If the source claims that the presence and stability of one good person can guarantee tangible benefits, like rain, for an entire community, how does the individual persistence required in the Sadashiva Rahasya, that refusal to fall into self-doubt and the continuous command of more power, how does that ultimately operate as a universal force? A force that benefits the wider community, even if the manifestation started as just a small individual effort. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.